This conference will now be recorded.
It's fine. Go ahead.
Thursday, May 21st,
Yes.
2026, 4 to 9 p.m. For our budget meeting. We have a couple of council members that we're waiting for, so we have not started yet. Apologies to anyone who might be watching. That's the reason that we are a little bit late. Are we going to give it a couple minutes or just jump in, Jason?
I think maybe we can just jump in, I suppose, and then just catch up
Okay.
later with everyone. So this is the slide that we're showing now per the new Utah legislation. We're being extra sensitive to it by notifying or putting this notice on every single meeting that we're doing. But this is just showing that there's currently, as we're proposing, an intent to increase property taxes. The latest proposal is that we do a 17.59% increase. That continues to come down. But next slide. This is the breakdown of that. You've seen that before. So next slide. Next slide. And then this is the mission statement, trying to take care of the city, keep this place put together and make sure we're maintaining services to expected levels. Next slide. So our plan is that we will do the the public hearing on June 4th. This is required by state statute that we get that final budget or decide to put it on truth and taxation by the second meeting of June on June 18th. And then if there were a truth and taxation hearing, that would take place at the first meeting of August. Next slide. Seen that before. Operations, employees, capital investment are our three key areas that we're trying to take care of to provide expected level of services. And this is the slide you've seen before, but just sort of summarizing the entire impact of taxes and fees to the average resident. So the average resident of a $690,000 home, which is according to the county assessor, the average valuation in the city, they would pay an extra $10.11 per month of property tax. And then you can see, as you've seen before, the average fee increase on the different fees is below that. So the total impact of all fee increases and property tax would be about $20.32 per month for the average resident. So just.
And that's based at 17%-ish.
That's based on 17.
Sorry, the 17% is of revenue. The 2197 is the tax rate. So that's where we ended at the last work session was the
21.
Thank you, Marin.
Yeah, sorry. On the statement of intent, the state requires that we put the revenue increase, which was the 17%.
Oh, thank you.
With the tax rate. Sorry.
I was, yeah. Never understand that more or less. When you talk about revenue increase and tax rate, it's different.
Okay.
But yeah. So the I guess next slide.
So this is where we can decide if we want to jump into general fund or do we want to talk about enterprise?
Oh, thanks, Marin.
Or we have this slide on depreciation.
Yeah, back up. I guess before, we even get into anything, we left the last work session on Tuesday, May 5th, knowing that primarily our feedback was that there was concerns about the tax rate, that we continue to need to work. We need to continue working on lowering truth and taxation. And so that's been our primary focus over the last couple of weeks as we've prepared for this meeting. And so that's what we've really come prepared to talk about, is ways that we've identified to lower that tax rate even more. We've worked with department heads, and there's really been a strong collaboration to try to find everything possible that cut or defer, and we've kind of got that list. We also had an anonymous donor that stepped forward, and actually we've received, I think, that check today.
No, they cut them yesterday, so we should get them in a week.
Okay, so we'll have
less.
We'll have a donation in the city's account basically by next week of $281,000, and that donor has identified certain projects that they're willing to fund, things things that we weren't going to fund possibly. Some of the things were already out of the budget and some of the things were on the chopping block for this meeting, but they said, you know what? Don't put that on the chopping block. I'll go ahead and I'll fund that. So all those things have helped us to reduce that tax rate. We've also used more fund balance in our NBA or Building Authority Fund and our debt service funds, lease impact fees. So we've really pulled out all the stops to try to lower that tax rate as much as possible.
So Jason, explain to us how that's the tax rate, so the anonymous donation.
Yep.
Doesn't impact the numbers that we're seeing.
Yes, do you want me to go to that spreadsheet?
Yes, let's do that. Thanks, Marin.
Because, most of us thought that that would help.
Well, it'll help. Some of it will help.
Okay.
So if
Can
you
explain that?
remember this spreadsheet from last meeting. Sorry,
It's incredibly generous, so
it is.
I'm very grateful.
Very generous. Okay, so I tried to combine it so I didn't have to go back and forth, like we kind of did last time. Sorry, I'm trying to make the Zoom good. One less. Okay. So if you remember, I had where we started, the 1.7 was the fiscal year 26 proposed tax increase. And this was everything that made up that 1.7. When we ended on May 5th, this tax increase in the blue was the 21.97%. So now we have added these three items with department heads, fund balance, and the donation like Jason talked about. And that has been able to bring it down to the 14.38% which I expected a round of applause, but I'm just kidding.
Okay, so wait a
I'm
second.
kidding.
So the 14.38 is the actual tax rate we're at now,
Yes.
not the 21.
No, the 21.97 is what was in the tentative budget.
Okay.
But since then, staff
Okay,
has
so
done
we have-
work.
We have reduced it. Okay,
Yes.
that's the point I was trying to.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, staff
Thank
has
you,
done
good
some
job.
work and looked into things.
okay, that's great.
So does this 14.38 include the stuff that the donor is paying for? or-
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Includes that much.
Okay.
Question,
Sorry.
man.
Yes, what is your question?
Good question.
It says that even with the 14.38,
Mhm.
we're still having to use 175,000 of fund balance.
It's more than what was in the tentative budget, yes.
So help us understand that
So,
because the
so
donation was
it's
280.
basically spending money we don't have again. That's what I'm trying to
No,
say.
so
with-
the
Okay.
MBA fund balance and the debt services fund balance are
It's the municipal
funds.
building authority.
Yes, those are funds that were created to cover debt and the municipal building bonds. So in my professional opinion, and Jason and talking to the auditors, those are funds that probably don't need to carry a fund balance because it's strictly for a purpose, right? We're not saving up for debt. That seems silly. We're not saving up for these building bond payments. That
Right.
seems silly. So when we first proposed the tentative budget, we proposed using half of each fund balance. But now that we are sensitive to the property tax, I went ahead and used the rest.
So then only thing that will be left there is the stuff to cover the bonds, the funds to cover the 2 bond payments.
So this year's fiscal year 27, the fund balance is covering those instead of general fund money being transferred. Yes. Does that make sense?
No,
Are you still,
it didn't,
okay.
Because I thought we put money into, I thought we took money from the general fund to pay those debts.
We do.
Okay,
And what I'm,
but you're saying that we've had a fund balance there.
correct.
And so we still have to take money out of the general fund to pay those. We still have to pay those every year.
In the future, we will, yes. But not for fiscal year 27.
How are you paying them then?
The fund balance from
So there was
MBA.
enough fund balance in there to cover those both those payments, which would have been about
So-
700,000.
Yeah, so police impact fees, we talked,
700,000.
sorry, I'm talking over you, I apologize. The police impact fees is covering the police station payment. And then the MBA fund balance is covering City Hall's payment.
Okay.
So between those two, yes. And then the debt service had enough, well, not enough, but it's covering the ambulance, the mower, and part of that.
Okay, so now we
Yeah.
use that next year.
Mhm.
How do we cover the following year?
That is why you see fiscal year 28's projection up to that 74% tax increase, because anything we push off this year has to be funded somehow next year as well.
Understand, but, okay. I'm trying to right this ship.
I know.
I'm trying to Figure out how to do it. Okay, go, sorry, keep going.
Don't be sorry, these are the conversations we need to have,
So I'm a little confused by this slide.
okay?
I'll just read a bit slant.
You're okay.
So the tax increase, what we're sitting at now is 14.38, down
Yes.
from, it
2197.
was 21.97, and then 2 weeks ago, we brought it down to what, 16 or 17?
Oh, sorry, no. It was originally like 34, and then we brought it down to 2197.
I thought we had another, we brought it down again.
That's
like
just the
16.
revenue.
Yeah, that's the revenue.
That's the.
That's the
Oh,
rev,
okay,
yeah.
That's how much revenue.
So the tax increase 14.38%. And then all these items are included, right?
Yeah, so column B or row B, these are all what the tax increase is funding. And then if we cut it, like the council insurance we talked about last time,
Okay, so
I
you
moved
moved
it
it
to
over
this
to the
column.
blue column for next year.
as a
Okay.
yeah, as something that most likely needs to be funded next year.
Okay.
Obviously, we will still go through this exercise and all of that. But like the deputy fire chief,
Okay.
we're not funding it this year. It's moved here so that my calculations show it in the projection for fiscal year 28 tax.
Okay.
74%. That includes the fire station if it passed.
Yes,
Right, that
that
includes,
includes the
that's assuming
bond.
the fire station bond passes.
Yes, all the capital projects we have, operations, all that.
So with the inflation, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do we just have two inflation items, the operations and the FY 26? Is there any other?
Yeah, so there's the fiscal year 26 inflation that was proposed last year, but it was denied by the state.
Okay,
And then we have fiscal year 26 new operations that carried into 27, and then fiscal year 27 inflation.
so what would be the new operation? So total inflation would be the 253 plus the 439 plus.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to write that down.
So are you basing the inflation on the total $25 million of both operations for all of the revenues that we receive? You're figuring, or are you just figuring the 439,000 inflation of just the $6 million in taxes?
It's just off of expenditure inflation. So
So that would be the expenditures, would be the total expenditures, which would include the property tax, sales tax, franchise tax and all that. So when you say 439,000, that's the inflation for the total $25 million, right?
expenses, yes.
Okay, because that's combined expenses. I think the budget is 26 million now,
Yes.
26 million combined. So I'm just saying, the inflation right there, isn't that a little bit of a high number if we're talking property taxes? Should that be a lot lower?
Maybe I'm not understanding the question. The way that
What's 2.5%? Okay, so what's 14% of 6 million?
84,
So shouldn't that be 84 and not 439?
this is just inflation on operations. So the operations portion of our
Operations is
budget.
about, say 16 million or something. I think operations about 16 million. So shouldn't that inflation then be on the 16 million? But all that's not funded with just taxes. And I thought we were just talking taxes here. So that number is showing inflation for the total budget, not just for the tax portion, right?
No, this is just for general fund. So
I thought
like,
we're talking property tax, that's where I'm getting, okay, so we're including it all into this. I thought we were talking about the 14%, what the 14% tax increase was going to cover.
yes, we are. I'm sorry, can you think of a different way to explain it? Or am I confused? I'm sorry.
I think you're explaining it right. Yeah, this is,
I get what you're
maybe
saying.
try asking that question a different way, because I'm not sure I'm getting it.
Okay, so what I'm saying is you said this is what the tax increase will fund, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're saying inflation is 439,400. So the tax increase would technically only cover 14% of the inflation is for the total operations would be like, and I don't have all those papers in front of me, would be the 16 million in operation. The inflation,
I see what you're asking.
that would be the 439,000. But when you're talking the tax increase, that should be a lot lesser number, shouldn't it?
I see what you're saying.
Okay.
The tax increase percentage is off of the tax rate.
Oh,
So it's different math. So if you truly wanted to see the inflation percentage, we could get you that.
well, that's what we've been trying to cover is inflation and tax. You know, when we talk about we should be doing truth in taxation to cover inflation, that number would be a lot lower.
Yes, if you did the math on the inflation,
Yeah.
but this is the
Yeah.
tax rate itself off of property value.
Right, which would, okay. well, I'm-
Mike, are you saying that the tax rate should exactly mirror the amount of inflation percentage?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, yeah.
But
Okay, I'm just trying to clarify.
It doesn't because it's, the way you calculate it is off of certified property rates, then your home value, and then what the current rate is over the new rate.
But it seems like you're including the inflation in the whole budget and not just the portion that the property tax covers.
I'm doing a whole general fund budget, which property tax funds.
Okay, all right.
And also you're doing that because, equipment, things like that come out of the general, and that's what's really causing our rates to go up, right? Because
Right.
things are costing so much more.
Correct.
And those are going up by greater factors than 2.5%.
Right,
A
exactly.
lot of them, just
Infrastructure
across the
costs.
board, it depends on, yeah.
Okay.
So with the operations inflation, does this include inflation for power?
No.
Okay, that's what I assumed, but.
Yeah, so the three different, the three new things, I guess, for this meeting, and we can go into depth if you want, but we talked about using a little bit more fund balance from the MBA debt fund. Department heads all got together and we kind of reviewed the budgets line by line, and we were able to identify some things that we could defer or kind of go without for the year. And then that donation, the anonymous donor, like Jason explained, we presented a list to them of items that were previously cut or on the chopping block for this meeting. So in the tentative budget, they were already funded. 173,000 worth of projects was already funded, but now the donor's taking care of it. Therefore, that's why it's only the 173 there, if that makes sense.
So is that 173 going to specific items?
Yes, and I can show you that list if you guys would like.
I think we'd like to see it, but also wasn't the total donation 285,
281.
281? So where's the rest of it?
So like I just said, the 173 was items that were funded in tentative budget, but now we no longer have to pay for those.
Right, so then we've got,
And the rest was already cut.
okay, so we can reduce the number by 173.
Yes,
Okay.
Can I ask a couple questions before you switch slides?
yes.
For our MBA and debt fund balance, we had a balance in there. We're planning to use all of it, so there will no longer be a balance in there, so, right?
It's all of debt service, and I think MBA will have about 250 left, just because the payments for City Hall is lesser than the fund balance we have. So we'll have a little bit more of MBA.
So I guess my questions are, how do we end up with a balance in those if we don't think we need one? Because I'm trying to understand how the funds work, not because I'm trying to uncover something I think is going wrong. And then what is the benefit of having a balance in there? Like, is there a benefit? Is it an emergency preparedness type thing?
Sure. You can jump into, the main way that it earned money, was accounting was allocating interest to those funds. When technically, I mean, it's not wrong, right? It wasn't wrong to allocate interest there. But going forward, we probably won't allocate interest there because these are funds that, like I said, don't really need that savings plan, right? You don't save up to take out a bond.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have some history.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Dean about this kind of, and I think I did. I talked to some other people, and that the understanding that we had was, well, gosh, no, I did talk to Dean. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to remember this. I've talked to so many people about the history. But the idea was if we have a balance there, like in the municipal building authority, when it comes closer to, closing out those bonds, we could use that fund balance to pay it off a little bit early. Maybe we get to, the last year or two and we can say, hey, guess what? We can just close this out a year or two earlier than we anticipated. And I think it was just an idea of having a little bit of a safety net there that we could, in maybe a tight year, have a fund balance to rely on for the debt service. But honestly, had we gotten to the end of the bonds, we would have just closed it out, used up the rest of the balance to pay it off and make that last year easier, or like I said, even paid off a year or two earlier. So it's just different ways to do it. But again, like Marin said, talking to the auditors, it's kind of like, why are you carrying a fund balance in this? There's really only one purpose in this fund, to just basically transact paying, having the general fund pay off the bonds.
So basically Dean just had money in these funds as balances just in case, sort of a rainy day.
Yes.
More or less, yes,
And
yes.
we've carried those balances for probably ever, always.
I think since the fund was created in 2013, 2014,
Okay.
they started allocating interest there.
Is that the total amount we have in that, 175?
No. In MBA, we have 565 and debt service was a little over 98,000.
I just want to make sure in all of this, I mean, obviously, the accountants, but that we're not doing the whole robbing Peter to pay Paul thing.
100%
What
we're
is-
doing that.
What does allocating
Sorry.
interest mean? Okay, well, that's good to know. What does that mean? Like, we're allocating interest from where, I guess?
Oh,
Obviously, I
yeah.
understand what allocate and interest means.
Yes,
but-
I apologize. So like your home savings account, every month interest gets calculated. And so when we're doing our bank reconciliation, like for the month of April, since we have different funds, that have money sitting there, and we have one bank account that kind of holds all of our money, our accounting software, these are just numbers, okay? But our bank shows that we have 25 million in the bank.
Sure.
But if we look at our specific funds, power fund, impact fees, general fund, right? Those all have their balances of the 7.5 million, the 565 in MBA, right?
Okay.
So when we're taking the interest of the 25 million, we're allocating it or splitting it correctly in an accounting way that the 565 earned 4%
Okay.
of the total. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we're allocating it across there. And so now that 565 is just gonna keep earning money because it's cash sitting in the bank.
Okay. But what is, I feel really stupid.
Don't
What
feel
is the
stupid.
565? Is that also the fund balance that's there, or?
Yes, so MBA has 565,000 in it.
Okay.
General fund has 7.9 million, power fund has 8 million, all of those equal our 25 million in the bank.
Right.
So if
for the
we
end-
earned 100,000 of interest, it would be allocated
That makes sense.
appropriately by the percentage of the 25 that's holding.
Where it comes
Does that make sense?
Yes, so are we using all of that 565,000?
This year?
Yes,
No.
okay.
Because the fund balance is more than the payments.
So we'll have a 250 balance left.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I know that was
That's
probably
okay.
painful to walk through, but.
It's okay.
Okay.
Is it more beneficial to wait until the end and pay it all off at the end?
There's pros and cons. I think our interest rate is so low that, and we have so many other projects that you're not gonna save.
Okay.
You're not gonna save much, but the robbing Peter's pay Paul comma is very much alive here.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and that's one of the reasons we're recommending it, because it's like, you know, why are we carrying that balance? And especially in the climate where we're trying to lower that TNT amount as much as possible. This just seemed like an obvious target to look at.
Thank you.
Thank
But
you.
obviously, like all fund balance, it's a one-time thing. It's like,
It's gonna
you
be gone.
right?
It'll be gone.
Okay, do you want to look at that project list?
Yes, please.
Okay, so, department head review, we kind of went through all the lines, in all general fund and kind of identified things that can be deferred for 1 year. So, sorry, I should have sorted these, but,
Yeah, they're not really in any necessary particular rank order of
They're not in
priority, or this
order,
is,
no.
but, and I don't know that you really even could do that, but, I mean, should we just go down the list of what the safety incentive money, when we were with the trust had been giving cities money to, if they reduced their, or had no claims, workers' compensation claims, they'd give departments money, you know, as a reward, basically, like, you know, have lunch with all the employees since they didn't have any workers' comp claims, you know, in the last year. And they eliminated that program this year. We were looking at considering like, hey, it's a program to continue doing, because, you know, let's motivate employees to, hey, let's not have any claims this year. But that was one that just seemed like an obvious one to take out, really, especially now that the trust is eliminating that reimbursement. The next one down, the manager travel, that's just me. That just was like all my ICMA conference, my UCMA, Utah League of Cities and Towns conferences. I mean, those are nice to go to, but honestly, I feel like for the money, sometimes it's not really that, you know, that great. The next thing, police office supplies, just, I think they're looking at their typical usage and can probably get by with. A lot of these things would be turned in normally at the end of the year, like, hey, guess what, we didn't need as much office supplies as normal, but,
They go back in and.
right, so they'd go back into the budget anyway, but you're right, so we could kind of fine tune that. Geez, Marin, I'm trying to remember the 10,000 on professional and technical for police. Do you recall that one?
I don't recall the specifics. I just got an email from him saying we probably could get away with doing a little less this year.
A little less, meaning cut it in half or?
No, 10,000 of a 40,000, so now it's 30,000 budget.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember what hits there. If Parker could probably look up what hits that line. We can come back to it when he finds it, if we want to keep going.
Yeah,
I would assume it's kind of like their contracts, maybe their, sorry, what is that called? Like when they hire, they probably do lie detector tests and all that. These are just guesses.
yeah, the information systems, 15,000. I believe we just found that the fee went down. I'm sorry, I wish I had that department head here to like speak deeply about it, but that was when they thought that,
Section.
yeah.
So these are the cuts that they've gone through and.
Right.
I mean, that's a lot. That's a chunk of money, so.
Yeah, professional technical is where all their hiring stuff, so their pre-employment psych evals, drug testing, some of their canine stuff hits there. Yeah, so I think right now they are fully staffed, the police department is, and I don't think, obviously, they hope not to have much turnover next year, so I think that's why they
You feel okay with that?
feel okay getting away with it for a year.
Cremation garden stone moving equipment. I mean, we don't have the cremation garden installed yet, so I assume you're preparing for it.
Yes, yeah, so that was a piece of equipment he originally, budgeted 10,000 for, but he said we could probably get away with getting a 5,000 piece of equipment. And that's the item that would kind of take the stone apart so you could place the urn or the ashes in and then put the stone back together.
Okay.
Cremation garden is looking good, by the way.
Yeah.
I was there for a run the other day.
Yeah, that's a beautiful,
Side note.
It looks nice.
it'd be awesome. The next one down, the 10,600, all, so we budget 600 per employee or we had been budgeting money for employees, just, this is where like the Christmas party comes out of, and we do like when employees' birthdays happen, city gives them a gift card, $50 gift card or what. So we just eliminated those, eliminated the holiday or the Christmas party this year. And I think that's probably, that alone, the holiday party is probably 6,000 or 8,000. So
So
that
this
was a
is,
pretty good chunk.
okay, start, so you're eliminating the Christmas party this year?
Yes, for 2026. And then planning, these are just, a lot of these things might have gone into the budget had they not used them, but books and subscriptions, memberships, and they're just thinking they can cut back there.
I just got a note the cremation garden is complete, actually, so.
Yeah,
I think that piece of equipment is necessary.
Oh, I didn't realize it was.
Yeah, so we'll see that fee schedule on the consolidated fee schedule in June. He'll have all the fees on there of how much those spots are.
And they've talked about maybe pre-selling them, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that will help pay for phase 2.
Yep.
Potentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the books, clubs and memberships, I'm just curious, because as council, we get magazines usually once a
That we
month.
don't care about.
I think we could definitely
We
cancel
don't
those.
subscribe
I
to
don't-
them.
I
They
don't-
don't
I
have
assumed
a-
we
just
didn't
come free.
subscribe
A
to
lot
them.
of
We're
those
just,
just
so you
come.
have business. and
We don't
everything.
subscribe to them.
Oh, okay.
Kind of a targeted marketing thing from
The
them.
subscriptions, I think when you're talking about, it's like, professional planning
Yeah.
association and
It's
stuff
one
like
of the
that, yeah.
associations, yes.
If you want me to list out, it's stuff like Utah Business License Association membership, ICSC membership.
I thought we canceled that because we never go.
That's the type of stuff, like, there was a guy at, when I was at Acura, he kept coming in and coming in and coming in to try and sell my boss this training
Yeah.
program. And finally, my boss ended up buying it, and it came with like all these VHS tapes. We had to watch this guy talking about how to sell and like how to shake someone's hand
Oh,
and all this
seriously?
stuff, you know? So we
doing that?
watched all that and anyway, 3 years later, I was in a meeting as a manager and this accounting gal says, well, we have this $1,000 thing for this thing. Do we still do that? And I'm like, wait, what? And she says, this thing that, you know, and so we've been paying this guy $1,000 a month for the last 3 years
Oh my
for a
God.
subscription to be able to call him. And he just, all he would do is invoice. He'd just invoice the dealership and they'd pay it.
Oh my gosh.
So I think that, like, it's nice to find that kind of, I mean, I'm not saying that we have, you know, 3 Netflix memberships type
Sure.
of thing, but I mean, obviously you can find those things that you're like, oh, or is anybody even using this? So
Yeah.
I guess you
fair.
feel like each department goes through their budget so closely that they would be able to identify any of those sort of things they've subscribed to that.
I do. I get a lot, and Parker gets a lot of emails not a lot, right? I think we're pretty careful in our coding, but we do tend to get emails. It's like, hey, this hit this account. I meant it to hit this one, or hey, this one hit here, but it was supposed to split between these departments. So I know the department heads are looking at their budgets and each line item carefully and making sure that things are coded accurately.
Oh, I didn't know what you were saying. Okay, well, they've done a lot of work. That's great. Appreciate Sammy wanting us to go through that, and it's a good exercise anyway, so.
Yeah, and yeah. Leave.
Oh, and speaking of food, by the way, we do have Zuppa's coming at 6 o'clock, thanks to Anne Marie. So you don't have to like starve until like 11 o'clock tonight or whenever the council meeting finishes.
Oh, Jason, I just told Lee 10, so.
Oh, I mean,
11 is,
Great, thank you.
who knows?
I could tell Heidi 1 AM and then when I get to 11, like, oh, wow, this is great.
You are getting started, Jason.
And then the next list underneath that black bar, this is what the donor selected to cover.
Yeah,
So the 3 items in green are what was already in the tentative budget. And those added up is the 173. So that is what's helping.
I like the word helping.
I do too. The other items were previously cut, either, you know, in a previous work session or with Jason before we presented budget. And the donor has selected those to fund.
Which I will say is so kind,
So kind,
because
yeah.
the original gift was gonna be $250. And then saw that there was obviously need, but the problem is, this is not an annual
No,
recurring
this is a
donation. This is a
one-time.
one-time donation. So.
Well, a lot of the things
so it's coming through a
that the
charitable
donor's paying for.
donation account, yeah.
Our one-time expenses, right, exactly.
So question, if the generous donor is paying for like the police drone, why was that on that blue column?
Yes.
That's different next year.
So that's a great catch. So now I can delete that from here. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you for catching that.
Why didn't it go down?
It did, just a baby amount. Do you want to watch it?
Yeah, let's do it again.
Oh.
Oh.
One more time?
One more time. You want to see that 0.3? Yeah.
Oh.
That was not satisfying at all.
I'm sorry.
One more time. Just kidding.
Yeah,
Well, very, very.
that's
kind.
amazing. Like, thank you to whoever that donor is. Cause I mean, I feel like a lot of people donate and they want like their name on something, but this is not exactly like glamorous stuff.
No, it's not. It's a very
And-
unglamorous
And
stuff.
so I
that
very
we
much
really need.
appreciate it, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and they were very like, we want it to be practical, we want it to be useful, we want it to directly benefit the city and the citizens, so, I
So
mean,
grateful.
very thoughtful.
Yeah.
I will pay for a, what are those things that make a label?
A label maker?
I'll pay for a label maker that we can put on everything that came from the anonymous donor that says
Anonymous
from
donor.
anonymous.
From Anonymous.
It's actually a really good.
I don't know if that
Thank you
makes
for
it more or
helping.
Less disrespectful.
You know what? I would just, yeah, that's very classy, John.
I mean,
Okay, and then the other one that we kind of looked at, was this fund balance. So you gave us the challenge of lowering the fund balance used to 500,000 for fiscal year 27. We did do that for the tentative budget. And so these are the items that fund balance is now covering, and this amount is deferred.
Okay, water conservation of the fire.
Yeah.
station. What does that mean?
So that is in the back parking lot where,
Pull it up.
yep, so they would pull that grass out and do xeriscaping.
City council chambers.
Yes, so we have that as in the fund balance. So I just moved it down to show the whole donation. So the 500 is just these items,
Oh, okay.
so.
Let's take off for the next time.
But previously it was funded in fund balance, so we were able to kind of,
The Fuel Master software upgrade will allow the city to track the
Yes.
fuel costs more efficiently, which is a good thing.
yes,
Mhm.
Help us save there.
yes.
I'm curious about, so I know that we're using round numbers, so when we actually get the actual hard cost for the things that the donor is donating, what happens to the difference? Because I'm sure we've overestimated a little bit to compensate.
Yep,
You
so,
know, to
I
cover
had a conversation
taxes
with
and
him
stuff.
about that today. And basically we decided, look, when we find out what that difference is, we'll circle back to you,
Okay.
see what other projects you might want that money to go
Okay.
towards.
Hopefully we get things a little cheaper, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay.
Is everything kind of rounded up a little bit, just to kind of pad the numbers? Okay.
Donation.
Sorry, what?
What is his total?
The round
donation?
usually isn't
280.
huge, it's like $50, round it up or whatever, to get to a round number.
So like the Barnes restroom, has that already been bidded out? And 8,000 should
I
definitely cover it. Cause I'm just curious if with all the rounding, if it's like 1,000 here, a couple thousand there that we're approving, but now that money's been used in other areas when.
It'll go back to general fund.
It would go back
Just
to
back
fund
in general
balance,
fund
yeah.
total.
I
Okay,
think so.
I was just curious how that worked.
Yeah.
Okay.
How much of the, what do you anticipate when you get the actual numbers? When do you get actual numbers, November?
On sales tax?
Yeah, from sales tax.
Oh, from sales tax?
Isn't that
it's-
isn't that the biggest variable that we deal with, is that, or what would you say would be the
We'll get it in June, right?
biggest
No,
variable?
sales tax was 2 months in arrears, so we'll get June's money in August.
Okay, so,
So we won't be able to tell you.
but what was the thing, last year that once it came out, we were like, oh, we were actually off
I'm
by.
about certified values.
Oh, the property values. Certified property value. They emailed me and said those will be available May 22nd, so tomorrow.
Oh,
So that could even lower the property tax rate a little bit if our values went up.
that would be fantastic.
Yeah,
Because
So there's still a possibility there.
yeah, if that lowers it, I mean, anything we can do to just get it down into the, I mean, gosh, it'd be awesome to get it into the single digits. I know that's asking a
That's
lot.
right.
That would be very
If
awesome.
that comes out, and then just, potentially looking at the other options, but this is really impressive.
Oh, thank
I
you.
mean, seriously,
It's
tell
a
the
lot of
department
work.
heads and
Yeah.
everybody, like, this is very impressive and truly well done.
Thank
You guys, honestly, great
Thank
work.
you. I did just get an answer on the 10K in police. I forgot, they are postponing a purchase of a K-9.
Oh, okay.
Mm,
We still have our.
We still have
we still have
Maggie,
Maggie, right?
yeah.
Okay.
okay,
but they were looking into getting a second and now that's being postponed for
okay,
training and other reasons.
okay, cool. They can just have my three-legged dog if they want.
You still have your poor dog.
Yeah, they'll just run around in circles.
It's so sad. But you still
Okay.
can.
Half the cost.
Any other questions, comments, concerns about these lists or?
I mean, I feel pretty good about the list. I think that I'm excited to see what those numbers come back as tomorrow. If you don't mind emailing it, that would be fantastic.
Yeah,
If they actually do come in tomorrow and,
yeah, for
And
sure.
then-
If I don't see it, sorry to cut you off. If
No.
I don't see it tomorrow, I'll for sure send that email Tuesday.
and then maybe just for my understanding, kind of what is $100,000, $200,000, like what is the ratio per percentage that we're looking at difference if you went to this guy? And
Oh,
I'm just
20,000 wasn't much.
I'm just curious, yeah, like, as I think about things like
You're
what
thinking how much would we have to cut additionally to get it under?
cuts or
10.
different things, yeah, I'm mostly curious
We're just
about,
curious about
so
how
all
much.
you'd have to do is, add, I don't know which column you'd add it to, but
Sure.
like,
well, you
Cut
can
it half
just
and do
test like
seven.
an I would 100,000. I mean, that was almost 2%.
okay, that helps me out a ton.
2%.
That was low.
Because we have how much in our, I mean, again, we don't wanna be doing rainy day, rob Peter, pay Paul, but I think the concept maybe too is that as we go along next year, that we're gonna be acting much more, we're gonna act differently, like if someone leaves or, if someone leaves, we're gonna look at it as an opportunity to condense and maybe give people around, like people that are already there, a little bit more money
Opportunity for overtime.
to take over, those are the things. So we hope that even though we would be paying with some rainy day funds, we hope that the following year, those requirements go down as we think more fiscally responsible. So for me, it's more of a curiosity to think like we've got 6.5 million in the
7.5.
7.5. Wow, it's made $1 million. So like, I mean, theoretically, if we wanted to take that all the way down, it would be $600,000, right?
700,000. 200,000, 700, bringing down 4 points.
That's right.
approximately.
And I'm not saying, I'm just saying like, this is
So
intriguing if
there's
anything.
one other
200,000 more.
column that I would like to just ask some
Yeah.
questions on.
Happy.
It's this one. Is there any way you can find this
Yes.
one and put it up there?
I
Because I just want to ask some questions about this. Because we've been so hard in trying to watch, and I don't know what all these new numbers does to this, because all I have is the one I got that went, I'm sure this has changed some of these numbers.
It has. So I'm gonna pull up the actual tentative budget.
And so
What page are you on?
I believe it would be the combined expenditures.
Okay.
And so what I look at here that I'm really struggling with is when I look at the combined expenditures and I look at IT.
Okay.
And I see that they have an increase of 311,000. I look at police and it's got a $465,000 increase.
Yep.
When we've been so hard trying to watch our budgets, and if I try to put a number to that, if I put 2.5%, 5% to that based on inflation, it doesn't even, that's way more, that's way higher than, so I'm just, help me out and tell me why those
A lot higher
departments
than-
are so much higher, whereas you look at almost all the others,
Yeah.
they're either come down or they are really close to that.
Yeah.
5%.
My initial gut answer for police is they have a lot more people. So when we scroll up here and look at capital.
Now, when you say they have a lot more people, we've only approved one position.
I'm sorry, they have a lot more people in their department versus other departments. So when we do the COLA, the step and market adjustments, it's personnel,
So
right?
wouldn't that be really only 5% though? Because we did a 2.5 last year and a 3, I think. So wouldn't it be a 5% increase?
Yeah, but 5% of their 7
Okay.
million payroll,
Okay.
you know what I'm
which is-
saying?
Which is how much was 5%?
Well, 5% is 350, but our personnel, it actually went down this year, if you remember that we did a
Okay.
little bit of closer to actual
I'm
with
just trying to find
insurance.
out why, all the other departments, but those have increased pretty significant amounts. I mean, we're looking at, when I look back at 2024,
Yeah,
and it was 6,800,000, and we're here at 2027,
yeah,
and it's 8,600,000.
yeah.
That's a lot of money, and
We can't keep,
so that's,
eventually,
yeah,
it has to stop.
it's gotta figure this
You're
out.
looking at actual,
I'm looking at the
No,
2024 actual, look at the actual, and then you look at budget, okay, that's fine. But then when you look at the budget, then you go to what the 27 budget is, and even from the 26 to the 27, which the 26 we never funded because we didn't get a tax increase, but the increase from 26 to 27 is 214,000. That's not the combined either, that's just the personnel.
Yeah,
Go to
yeah.
the combined one, that's the one
Okay.
that, okay, so if you go to combined, and you look at the combined was 6,800,000 what? And now it's up to 8 million. It's $465,000 more in 27 than
Sure.
it was in 26. But yet, really, it should have only been probably 5% of. I
Yeah,
don't know. I'm just trying to figure out
I'm,
what the percent jumps. How has that jumped so high
yeah.
in 3 years?
And I'll say something that's not gonna be
We added
popular.
that employee.
Employee is gonna be your biggest cost, right? The cost of
Which
each giving.
yeah.
But I think
It's 26 times.
I think it's not just inflation. I think we're doing more with what we have now, so we have more projects, we have more things, we have K9, we have, more vehicles with the other, with the new sergeant, so we have more projects going on. I think leadership now is trying to catch up from past leadership, kind of doing, I don't wanna say bare minimum, but, the robbing Peter to pay Paul. I think we've been using fund balance for so many years, just to do the bare minimum. So I think departments are doing more. I think regulations and laws and, those have changed and have totally changed different things we have to do. I mean, we see.
I just don't know I'd like to know what those costs were somehow, maybe in a future meeting or a memo or something.
Right.
You can explain to us
We've
how
built-
we've increased
Yeah,
$4 million or whatever, $3 million, $2 million in 3 years or whatever.
Well,
It's hard for me
yeah,
to.
one point I
We
wanted
can do
to,
that.
it'd be interesting, Marin, to look at what budget was for police versus
Yes.
actual, because a lot of times you'll see actual was a lot less than what was budgeted, because maybe they lost some employees, and then there were several months where they were down officers or personnel. And so now the actual comes in a lot lower than what was budgeted. And then when you compare the new budget year, they're assuming they're gonna be fully staffed.
I actually had the actual for 2025, I believe.
yeah, but he wants you to look
But
at the.
budget is gonna be higher than that, is what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, but I think it had the budget and then it had actual.
It has the budget for 26. So the budget for 24 for police was almost 7.1,
Okay,
and they spent 6.8.
And then
pretty close, that's pretty good.
they must have budgeted.
6.8 has gone from 6.8 to 8.6, and we've been pretty tight on money, and I'm just trying to figure out how they've increased so much when we have been very tight on holding no new positions. We haven't really did any major increases that I know of, that I can recall. I mean, we did do a salary increase at one point, but we also did a tax increase for that.
So they budgeted 7.1. When was that? Was that 04 that we did that?
Well, I can't.
Sorry,
I can't
That you
remember
did
when we
what?
did the increase in salary. Is
So
it
that
the-
was 2023.
Oh, okay, so
So that was before.
So that was in there. Yeah, it is fascinating to think about, like, their budget for 24, you're saying was 7.1. Their budget in 26 was 8.1, so yeah, $1 million in 2 years does seem.
It does seem a
Absorbent.
lot, and that's what I look at. I look at those and I say, okay, I'm not getting into the everyday spending. I spend a $10 here, but what I look at is I look at our revenues. I look at how much we have in revenue, and usually what I look at is the year previously, which here, and our total revenues were $22,429,000.
Right.
So we should be spending somewhere in that neighborhood,
I
not
think-
more than that.
Your questions are really good, because we know that if you look at police, we haven't increased personnel other than the sergeant position. So we've had one new officer, so there's that. The fleet hasn't increased. So what's driving it? And I think if you look at police cars, I mean, they have a very large fleet, right? So I think inflation really is pretty high in their department because of.
Fire's the same though. Mike,
I
and
mean, and I'm just trying to look at these numbers because they're not making a lot of sense to me when we haven't really approved any new positions.
well, the advantage there too is 351 plus 465, that takes us to 0% increase in sales tax. That's your 800,000 or your 700,000 right there.
But what caused it? I mean.
Inflation increases with parts
And they're lower.
Yeah.
So I understand it's more staffing with the police and fire, and the equipment's more expensive. But yeah, it would be nice to have it broken down and
just,
What is information systems? Why did it go up 311? If you've already answered that question, then I
No,
apologize.
It's okay, that's IT, and that's all of the new regulations for the IT's getting, so the,
My word.
yeah.
Isn't some of that the new council?
The new
That's right.
council,
Yeah.
the EOC's in the police budget, but the new council, the firewalls, the PD
Oh.
switches, like all of.
So this includes one-time spend as well?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
combined, so if you scroll up,
combined
this
stuff.
is just capital, so you can
Gotcha.
kind of see, and then just operating.
Can I see, yeah, just the operating is a good one for us to look at, especially with the fire and police. Because,
That's interesting. Fire's kind of off, police is not as much.
police is, yeah, budget change from prior year only 73. So does that mean that increase, that 400 plus is mostly capital? If you go down to the next one?
It is capital and then personnel.
Okay, and that capital, does that include the new cars?
No, I think they
no,
have their own.
The cars increased only like 80,000 from last year, but it's the drone, can you like make sure that? Oh, they're in-car and body camera systems that the beer tax money is covering.
Mhm.
And now that the donor is covering it, the parking lot gate replacements are in there.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, and the EOC's in this one.
Okay,
So the EOC is the 156. So if you take that out, that one-time project, I mean,
yeah.
what,
interesting.
22,000 worth of
What's the EOC?
Yeah,
It's over at the
Emergency
police
Operations
station.
Center, the big
the
big room in the police department.
Oh.
so that tells a story. I mean, the part of the story that's interesting to look at this is like, how much of those things are one-time purchases? That would be actually like,
Well, it's like
if
I
you ever
said,
created a second box, the
like-
best little box would be like, which things are one-time purchases and which don't.
It's kind of like you look at the police there and you see it goes 308, 338, 293, then all of a sudden it jumps to 471, which is almost 200,000 more, well, 175,000 more than the previous year. And it's like,
But what I'm,
Yeah, 'cause of
but
the
what I'm
use
saying
tax.
is like, if they are one-time things and like we've looked at those one-time things, then those make it, that's why I'm saying like it's more intriguing to look at like, okay, if the fire needed to get an ambulance and that ambulance is in the budget, but now we're seeing it in there, of course it's gonna be more this year because like this isn't an ambulance. It almost is more intriguing to take out the stuff that's one time.
And that's what capital's supposed to represent. It's supposed to
Right.
represent kind of these one-time, I mean,
One-time-
vehicles are in here too,
one-time.
but that, I mean, 1.4 million in capital for a general fund, like, we're not doing anything crazy.
Yeah, so you take out the 178 and then you take out the.
So this year it went up, and next year, we're not gonna have the 156, right? So their line will most
budget
likely
should
go down.
decrease. But how do you track, yeah, I guess that's the question is how do you track or what do you use to track the things that are going up that are gift that keeps on giving things?
Sure, so in our first work session, and I know there's so many of these, so I don't expect you guys, but we tried to present that in a way that kind of showed operating, I mean, if you think about operating, right,
Yeah.
that has the inflation of a piece of paper is more expensive now or whatever.
Yeah.
Capital is more one-time project things, like we're
Mhm.
always gonna
No, I
have
remember
vehicles or
that,
roads.
yeah.
You know, and so on those slides, if you go back to those, we've kind of split it like that, showing here's changes in capital, here's changes in operating. But I mean, we can review that again, if you can come in, not in a work session, and I can go
Yeah.
through things.
That might be nice, I'll do
that's
that.
probably what I should do.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah,
'cause
we
I think
can,
that'd be
we can
fun to
set up a
see.
meeting, like, I'm more than happy to do that,
Yeah, that'd be
And,
good.
Because I get that it
obviously,
gets
what I'm
confused.
trying to do here, what I'm trying to say, and it's and I'll just use mosquito abatement for an example. Gary knows exactly how much his revenues are down there, and every year his revenues, he makes sure that always his expenditures are below his revenues, and that's how every budget most of the time is supposed to work. And I'm constantly seeing Kaysville City's revenue less than what their expenditures are. And it seems like we should be working really hard to get our expenditures down to equal to our revenues.
Yeah.
And we're not. And that's what I'm trying to fix. That's what I keep saying. If we can hold spending and get our revenues up, like if it meant 10% tax increase this year, 10% next year, but kept our spending down so that our revenue, our expenditures stayed down, then like with Gary, he says, okay, we're gonna have to do a building addition. It's coming up. All right, Gary, how much are you going to need? It seems like we're doing it backwards. We're saying we need this stuff, so we have to do a tax increase. It should be, we're going to need this in the future, because right now we're having to do tax increase just to cover operations.
Yes.
We're down, in his case, I would say, or whatever, and I'm just using him for example, and he's always been this way. If he saw things coming up, he would let us know a year or two in advance, and then we would do truth in taxation, get the money that we needed so that we had the revenues to cover the brand new expenditures.
Yes, in a perfect world, that is a wonderful way to put
Yeah.
that.
Well, and
But
my
we
guess
are
is that
paying
he's doing
for-
Such a small, it's such a small, I mean, I know it's not small, but you know.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's
got
nothing like
one
this.
purpose, But
It's
you're
not
right.
like this.
And I think probably each department head probably, like when Josh and each of them have come in and shown us, like, looking down the road, we have to do this pipe, we have to do this pipe, we have to do this things. Like theoretically, maybe that's what they're trying to tell us, like, you should probably be raising this because you're gonna have to pay for these things. The hardest part about it is like, at what point in time do we say, wow, gosh, we can't keep raising it, right? Like, so, like, when do the things, or what other avenues are we gonna use to be able to pay for this stuff?
Well, to
Couple
my-
of-
oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Nate, sorry.
Well, to Mike's point too, I mean, we have 200,000 for concrete at Barnes Park. I walked over there, I could not see $200,000 worth of concrete work whatsoever. But then, yeah, the police want a second canine dog and then a drone. Like, to your point, we don't need all these extra things. We just have to lower services in certain ways until we get closer to that. And it's not gonna be a perfect world, but I do feel like we need to get closer to what we're bringing in, what we're spending, and then
Well,
planning for
and
the
I feel like
future.
we're having a really tough time right now with our revenues meeting our expenditures. But yet, I read the police, his department thing that he sent out to us, which included 9 new employees by 2030. And I'm like, how? And right now we have a fire department that wants to build a second station, which would take at least 12 people and 3 battalion chiefs and a deputy chief. And I'm just trying to figure out, we're trying to get caught up, but
I think it's more
That's
simple
where
than
I'm,
we're making it out to be. I
okay.
really do.
Okay.
And because at the end of the day, it comes down to 2 levers. If we don't feel like we want to raise the revenues to cover certain services, expenditures, we just don't provide those services. Like, you know, I think using the canine dog or like the Barnes Park sidewalks, absolutely, we can continue to just kind of let those, you know, go grind them like we've been doing. That's honestly, I think staff doesn't care whatsoever if that's council's decision. Like, we fully support. It's just, you know, when Cole's looking at that, I'm just using that as an anecdote or one case in point. But if council says, you know what, 200,000 is a lot to like re-pour those sidewalks, like let's keep on, you know, just grinding and stuff, totally fine. The only reason why that particular project came up, for example, was we looked at it, 35-year-old sidewalks. There's been grinding going on for the last couple decades, and some of them are just getting to the point where, man, you can only grind so much before it just, you know, it's one of our flagship parks, gets a ton of use. And thinking, hey, maybe we can, you know, try to meet services or expectations better for Kaysville. Like, what do they want this park to look like? But also, it's a perfectly okay solution to say, you know what, given the situation, let's continue to just, you know,
And Jason,
grind those
that's what
sidewalks and
I would
fine.
love to see Kaysville City get to the point where our revenues met our expenditures. And then you came to us and said, okay, our revenues right now will cover our budget, but here's what we're asking. We would like to do a $200,000 sidewalk project. We would like to do this. Then you can look at those things and say, okay, yeah, I'm willing to raise taxes to cover that. I'm willing to raise taxes to cover that. That's where I'm hoping we could get to, and I know it's gonna take a couple of years to get to that point.
Well,
That's really where
Is
I
it
wish we were
unrealistic
at.
to look at like each of these departments and think of like it as a business? Say for the Parks Department, they're looking at like, my word, these golf carts are so old. We need to get new golf carts. And then think, we've got to increase the fee for soccer and for things that people volunteer to do. I mean, is that ever a thought process of like, let's
Yes.
increase this fee so that we can, because I feel like we haven't done a lot of those, like, for me, I look at a lot of those areas where you can, like, even the police department, can they increase the cost? They come to us and say, we're gonna increase the cost for like we did the grammar requests or something that's bringing revenue into the department to pay for something and use that as their way to pay for things that they're requesting?
Yeah,
Or is it unrealistic? Like, are we talking just nickels, like that they would get out of?
well, sure, nickels, but I think every nickel counts. For the recreation specifically, I know Cole has a whole software, a whole system that he puts in his expenses. He can track the revenues and he can see, oop, I lost money on basketball, I need to up it, right?
Right,
And so that's where the consolidated fee schedule comes in that we present once a year.
right. I guess my thought though
Yes.
is like, at what point in time can you add things like concrete at the park for recreation? Okay, now we're gonna have to increase the cost of softball fees and soccer fees and all these different things to cover that we're gonna have to do this concrete. Is that a realistic way of looking at it? Or do you not pull from those?
We're not
types
just
of-
breaking
It's a little
even, so we're actually
tricky.
making money on it.
No, not making
making
money. You would
money.
have
We're
a
making a
project, but,
savings.
well, no,
Savings.
yeah, I would think you'd have to, in my mind, I guess, to do it appropriately, you'd have to have like a project in mind.
Right.
So you'd have to say like, look, we need to do these types of things, which means we need to charge this amount for the next however long to be able to pay for that. And maybe even the city is willing to loan them the money while they pay that back, from those increased fee
Yeah.
schedule. Like, it just seems like you don't want to run a city like a business, but also each department does have revenue streams that they could look at that are voluntary revenue streams,
Right.
right? So, I don't know.
Well, John, to that point too, if the department can say, hey, we could probably get another year or two out of this equipment. And instead of asking for that to be updated, use money to do this, or just move money around more.
I don't know, I just think that like, instead it's usually like, hey, we need a golf cart, like, we're gonna put it on the budget. And that's okay, in some ways, that's kind of how we've always run, but it'd be neat to see it the other way around, where like, okay, there's an option, we could actually increase the cost of grammar requests, we could increase the
Side
cost of.
note, you can't increase it. It's a state law,
Increase what?
grammar
Oh,
request.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, maybe
Side
there's, no, that's a great side note. And I don't know if there is anything that the police do that is
Parking tickets?
I mean, great.
that would be a great
Okay,
one.
can I say, like, I know that's something
Okay.
we can look into.
Anyway, that's sidebar,
But,
obviously.
yeah, 2 notes on that. One is, you gotta be careful too, that you can only charge a service or what the, it costs to provide the service. And maybe there's a connection, a nexus there where you can say, okay, to provide softball to the city, we have to take care of these sidewalks. So there's a nexus there. But I know there's a lot of sensitivity around, you just can't increase fees to make.
Upcharging too much.
Right. It's gotta be very specific to the service provided and what it's costing to provide it. I think the big point I'm hearing is that we probably need to have a lot of sidebar conversations, and we've been talking about this. maybe having committees that meet, a lot much earlier than the budget process starts. Maybe we start in the fall and have a couple council members that sort of get into the weeds more on different ideas. And then, come back and present that to the larger group and say, hey, we've looked at, fleet services or parks, fees and things like that, and can come back with some ideas. I know we've only got limited time to cover an enormous amount of information in these meetings. So I think the ideas and the questions are really good, just, getting through it all. And I know we've said it a million times, but a lot of our problem with revenues and expenditures is that we're already behind the 8 ball because of decisions made long before anybody was at this table. And so I think the decision right now is, hey, we've got needs right now. Are we saying that we don't need that service? Like it's just too much for us to handle or cover some of these services? Because if it is, I think the sooner we make those decisions, the better. Because those needs are going to continue to pile up every year. And that's my concern, is if we're saying, yeah, we probably need to have these services, but let's wait until we have more revenues to fund them. That's just never, I think we're just going to be playing catch up forever unless we actually raise revenues to where they need to be to cover the current level of services. Again, unless that level of services is too much, I think those are the two levers. Like either raise revenues to cover current services or reduce services to match what we've got.
Well said. Yes, I agree. And therein lies the issue. It's like, you living within your meat, right? So it's the
Absolutely.
whole, if you don't have the money to do it, then you just don't do it. But
Right.
In our situation, it's a little weird because we control our salary.
Nate and I and Parker Brenner were chatting last night at this table, kind of looking at things, and maybe you were there too, Abby. I can't remember when the snowplow discussion happened, and it was like, why do we need all these snowplows? Could we just cut back there? And of course, like we could. That's a very good question to ask. It just comes back to that really expensive to plow the streets to a certain level. But we could certainly say, you know what, let's cut that back. And, yes, they won't be as clear as maybe some people like, but also we're going to be able to save a lot of money. So those are, in my opinion,
What
that
kind
kind
of
of
level of
discussions.
service?
We can't do, that's a good example, but that's been done and
I mean,
miserably.
That was
But,
bad.
and I think every service cut's going to come with some pain, right? Whether it's snowplow or it's like, you know what, we could cut some recreation program out, or, whatever it is.
I can't imagine why we would need to actually discuss cuts though, because we've operated on a budget without a huge population shift in terms of growth. So it seems like maintaining the level of service shouldn't be part of the conversation, because we're not cutting back any personnel. We're not cutting back any equipment. We're just saying we want to kind of pause the growth of it. So I guess I have a hard time understanding why
Well,
quality of service would be a
it's-
consideration.
we haven't, as you know, great point, Mayor, like we aren't adding a ton of staff. Like over the last several years, we just have been very frugal about adding new positions and,
Or population in terms of people is what I'm saying.
okay. And a lot of our budget growth obviously is just simply
Yeah, just cost.
inflation, yeah. But yeah, I really think it really does come down to a fairly simple, like two levers: revenues, raise revenues, or lower, expenditures, and which do we pull or push?
Is finding that balance, but I think you did make a good point. I think if we're consistently
Yes.
incremental increases, I think that that's a lot more reasonable for people to understand than a gigantic,
But when we're incrementally doing that,
we
we
want to,
want to stay
yes.
with our
yes,
pro quo.
I
Let's
understand.
just stay with the
understand.
level of service that we have now, and let's get caught up is what I am hoping that can happen someday. And then we can start talking about all the.
Do you get caught up by catching up revenues to match our level of services? Or do you cut services to match our current level of revenue is, I think, the question.
I think this year is a perfect example of what Mike is saying, and it's gonna happen small, but if you look at the expenditures, we did cut expenditures even before what we just did, but the tentative budget has a lower of 376,000 and a lower fund balance use. So we cut expenditures over 800,000.
We
So,
did,
Yeah.
right?
We
And
did.
I think,
but that wasn't from, previously, we had not, but this is the updated,
yeah,
yes.
And so,
No,
yes,
Yes, if we could do this for
Yes,
about
moving forward.
4 years.
yeah,
Without adding stuff, we would probably be in a lot better position than we're at right
Right.
now.
and
And that's where I get really, it's all the other wants we keep hearing in the background there, and that's where.
To that point too, it would be helpful to have all the director heads on the same page, like we
I think we
gotta.
are.
No, I know, but compared to what we've whittled down, I think this is really the first year we really.
I will say something to
This-
their defense. I think that it has been refreshing. I mean, adore what's happened before, but I think a new set of eyes on it has also increased the process ability to work
Yeah.
well.
And
That's
I
what
think,
meant.
I think general fund, how do I say this? I think general fund is its own beast, and I can understand how we could pick out police department and, oh my gosh, they went up 465,000, but I think we gotta look at general fund as a whole. General fund, everybody affects property taxes, and the fact that everybody was able to decrease over $800,000, now probably over $1 million with what else we've done. To your credit, right?
Right.
And so again, if we wanna get in these weeds, so you understand it, this is kind of what we talked about, Nate, yesterday, like, you can't speak to what you don't know. I can fully
And this is
understand
the
that.
hard part about this, when you look at those revenues, when I talk about that $22 million in revenue, property taxes is only $5.6 million of that. And so when we're trying to make up money, because we're flat on sales tax,
Mhm.
so somehow I wish there was some way we could increase sales tax.
Sure.
Cause and back in 2021 or 2020, so around there, it was only around $4 million. And now it's up to $8 million.
We're trying hard.
Okay, and I know we're trying in that, but it seems like the problem is with the increase of the budget, the only money that we have increasing is property tax. And so
Yes.
it's taken the full burden of everything where it hasn't in the past, but yet we're increasing the departments and all of our stuff, like all of our revenues are increasing. They're not.
Sure, but also a lot of those increases, we can't control, right?
I get it.
Fire can't control the.
No, they cannot.
PPE went up, what, 48% or something, that's,
Right.
pair of boots is now $1,000, like, I get what you're saying, I do think we're on the same page.
I do
I
too.
appreciate-
I do too, but.
Yeah,
But it's that fact that when they do their budgets, and they fully understand that whatever they're short and whatever they have to make up is only gonna come out of the revenues. A very small portion is gonna have to cover the whole thing.
Yes.
Because there's no other way.
Yeah.
So that's why I really
I do think,
harp to people that stay within, because there's no other revenue other than the one little bucket.
I do, yeah, I think we're all saying the same thing, I think it's sensitive, I think it's hard to keep status quo and catch up. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be so much simpler if you could add a employee that was gonna cost you $200,000 for that, and you could take it out of the 22 million increase somewhere there. But you really don't get to. You have to take it out of the 5.6. So that $300,000 increase has to come from that one bucket.
Yeah.
That's why it's so difficult for me, and that's why I'm really harp on keep the people we have happy. But let's work them to death.
Which you're doing.
Well,
There, you're already doing that.
Well,
I don't think
Mike,
I've slept in
I
too
think
long.
you brought up a great
I'm just
point,
kidding.
Mike, about, that
You
that
stress
police
wrap.
personnel, the police personnel study, right? Shows we need how many more people between now and 9 more officers? And that's not coming from Chief Overy, that's coming from an outside person saying, whoa, you guys are understaffed for the operation that you guys do for this size of the city. So I think
And
the answer is
requirements
right
from the
there.
state.
And requirements from the state,
There we
right.
go.
And so, but I think you're absolutely right that, that we are operating lean and mean, maybe too lean in some areas, according to, like studies like that.
But even that study it shows leave per officer 360 hours per year. We don't give that much leave to an officer every year. So it may have sped up some of those needs for employees, but
I mean, they don't take it, but between holiday and accrued time, maybe.
what would that be? Would it be that much? Because that was 45 days.
Can I just chime
I don't
in?
know. I guess it
45
depends
days,
how fast they're accruing leave.
I walked around with Cole this week at Barnes Park to have him kind of explain the $200,000 to me, and it's not necessarily the $200,000 that I want to touch on so much as, he brought it up and said, yeah, of course we can keep going with this, like Jason said. But I think as a council, we would be upset if 10 years down the line, it came back and they're like, well, now we need this much because we haven't been looking. So I think it's good that they show it to us. I think it's good that we're allowed to look through and decide, we want to do this year, we don't want to do this year. One of the biggest concerns with this budget for me this year is I generally feel comfortable with the things that we've cut. But a small caveat to that is, and I'm not going to make any comments about what previous councils did. I don't know enough about their decision-making to determine whether or not, a lot of people say, oh, well, it was the other councils and that's why we're in such a bad spot. Like, I don't really care about that. That's whatever. What is important to me is ensuring that we don't put other councils and our residents into a position where later they're gonna have to pull up and deal with it, because I think that's absolutely robbing our children. And I am 5,000% against that. So I think, I agree with Mike. I want to get it to where we're in a better spot. I like the cuts we've made. If staff feels comfortable, that's fine. But if in a lot of places, and I feel like in a few places this time we have done the whole rob Peter, pay Paul, I wish there was a cooler sounding phrase for that. We've done that. And those are the kinds of things that I'm not comfortable with continuing to do. And yet every year we say, well, we'll do this or we'll do this. And I think we're just taking from our kids. And that's, to me, unacceptable. Is this okay for this year? Sure. Do I think it's sustainable in any way, shape, or form?
No,
Probably not.
I think we all can say that.
Well, to your point too, though,
Fantastic.
like looking to the future and making sure future councils aren't in a bad position. I think the trajectory that we've been on would exactly do that if it wasn't for what we've done this year so far.
I agree.
With the fund balance, we have to bring that way down. Because I don't know how we're gonna fill that back up.
The use of fund balance, right?
The use of fund
Yeah,
balance, yeah, that's what I meant. And if that's depleted, then the city's gonna be in much worse shape. And a lot of these things that are needs will absolutely be cut automatically. Staff will get cut at that point. And so I think that's what we're doing. And I agree with you too. But I would have rather, I really appreciate all the director heads, what they've done, because they've really moved
Thank you.
mountains to get to this point. And my frustration is more, this is a very challenging process. It's not at any particular director heads. But ideally, it would have been nice to start the budget process with these numbers as we are now. But I do think for the next couple of years, we're gonna have to really pull in, figure out ways to build up these balances and slowly increase taxes to keep up. But that's just my thought.
Yeah, I mean, I would have not started with these numbers, to be honest, just because we are using so much, we're depleting all of our fund balances, not just a lot of our
I just want-
general fund balance, but debt service and MVA and police impact fees. So, but, what we were trying to do this year is get that tax rate as low as possible, even though it's not probably as ideal, given, the sustainability of it. And that to me is the biggest worry I have. And I think it seems like we all share this, that what are we doing, for the future? Are we making the proper investments now so that we don't just have this huge pile of stuff that we have to fund, in a few years from now, because we didn't, manage it incrementally. And obviously we talked about it a ton of times, but we probably should have been doing more TNT a little bit in the past so that we wouldn't have to have so much that we've deferred or left for future people to just figure out. But I mean, I think Marin's done and Parker's done such a fantastic job. I think the discussions we've been having the last several weeks have been better than ever because we're having real discussions. They're hard discussions, but we're not just going in with blinders on and saying, let's just worry about right now. Yes, we're trying to figure out right now, but we're also fully aware that, we've got future things to fund too. And the way you put that on the future, needs is really transparent and holding ourselves accountable. So, we'll be right back here next year having the same conversations. But
We should start it earlier.
yeah.
Yeah, we should start earlier.
Started as soon as this one's done.
And I really do think if we could get any
Oh,
department
August
or
is
any
the meeting.
council member to want to jump into a certain area, maybe we have a council member that's really into the public works, budget, or somebody that's into the enterprise funds, right? Or personnel or whatever it is, and then we can just really get into the weeds. And then they can come back and say, hey, like, we don't have to have a 3-hour discussion with everybody, but I can tell you I've spent several hours with staff and here's what I recommend.
Yeah, committee
You know,
meetings.
Exactly, like Nate did with fleet services last night, like,
Yeah.
Very helpful.
so I think those are the types of meetings that I would say next year we'll try to do more of that.
For sure, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you
Thank
too.
you.
Appreciate our directors because we have asked them to really dig deep and it's been a good process. But it's also because it's a unique year. We're at war, inflation's high, there's so much uncertainty. I'm hoping that things improve moving forward. We hope so. We hope this is our rainiest day. But we do appreciate the fact that you work so hard to help us represent our
Citizens,
our
yeah.
citizens and ourselves, because we're also taxpayers, in doing everything that we can possibly do this year to try to minimize the impact, knowing that next year we're gonna have to do this again, and it depends on whether or not that fire station bond passes.
I'm really interested to see how many people show up to the public hearing. That
Yeah.
will say a lot to me. but-
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but anyway, thank you. I think this is such great information. And we've learned more about the budget than we've learned, in a long time. So I really
Happy
appreciate
to
you
explain
guys
it. I'm happy.
digging
yeah.
in. And Mike, I appreciate all of your digging in too. I really do. I appreciate the things
Oh,
that
you
you
guys do
comment.
not.
Yeah, we
Yes,
do.
we
We do.
do.
We do appreciate it because it helps all of us. So,
Yeah, and to that point again, I feel like when a resident asks, okay, why is IT going up this much? Why is police, why any department? If I can't answer it, then I feel concerned and that concern bleeds out.
Sure.
Comments or assumptions. And so as we go through this process, as the mayor mentioned, I feel like I have a greater understanding now than I did a couple years ago. It takes a couple
That's
years.
good news.
If I knew then what I know now, I would have done things differently, but yeah, so as we move through this process, just the best we can explain these things so that we can go to bat for the city. Because I want to go to bat for the city and all the employees. We have great employees.
we do. We've got great people.
Thank you, and I agree so much. And don't ever feel like you have to know all this. There's no way you could. If you told me you did, I wouldn't believe it. I think you're just showboating, or because there's no way you can understand all this. There's so much stuff going on, and there's so many different departments, all with their own, expertise, and so I think that's where we want to leverage our department head staff. So if a resident comes up and says, hey, why did IT go up this much? Well, you know what? I think Ryan would be more than happy to sit down with you and the resident and say, hey, we can look into this with you. Rather than you trying to remember everything on the fly. I mean, there's just too much to have to know. But in general, I think we can send a message that, these things are being looked at. And I think the barometer for me is we've got one of the lowest property taxes rates in the county. I know we've said that a lot, but we really do a lot with not a whole lot of tax, and especially considering we don't have a lot of sales tax, we don't have a lot of opportunity for more sales tax. I hope that changes, but that's just a decision that we made as a city of who we want to be, and that's so totally okay. But it's just kind of the reality of, hey, we have things that we need to do maybe differently here than in other cities. Anyway, are there other questions? I know the general fund was the main thing, property tax. Do we want to get into any other questions?
I have one question, and this might have been answered already, but sanitation and sewer, the pass-through costs, where's the transparency of them raising their rates to the public? Because it kind of puts it on the city's shoulders and that increases our rate. But are we automatically obligated to increase taxes just because sanitation and sewer determined they want to raise their rates?
Well, those are fees.
Those are pass-through fees,
Pass-through fees.
so they don't.
But that's included with our increase.
No.
It doesn't affect
It
our
doesn't,
property
not a
tax.
property tax.
Those are just fees. We do the billing on their behalf, but it's very clear that this is not us, it's their fee. We just bill.
But there isn't a lot.
Those
of
were line
transparency.
items there and kind of mixed.
But to your point, there's not a lot. No one comes to our landfill meetings. Even though the public can, they don't. They don't.
And they
attend those.
announce it, they know.
They
We
notice.
make
them.
them come to our meetings and
But-
share
but
at
no
our
one
meetings.
comes. And,
Probably.
Sewer
Could we
districts.
require them to come to a
Yeah.
city council meeting and present after a board meeting?
Maybe just
Or
if they're raising
prior to
rates.
decisions
They
made?
would be happy to.
Something that would be
They would be
good.
happy to.
Like Hates Creek, all the different.
I'm not sure about the irrigation companies or the sewer district, but I know the
Be
landfill
curious
would be
if they
willing
could
to
as
come
well.
and explain what's going on.
Nice.
Sewer district might not want to
There
talk to
are-
you right
Two other things that I would like to know, Parker. I would like to know how much money our 15% increase in water generated and how much money our 10% power increase generated.
Sure.
That's what I'd like to know
In terms of revenue.
in terms of revenue.
I can get that for you.
You want to do it right now, I can do it, you can get it anytime.
Look at him go.
I'm just clicking.
We have a lot of tabs.
I'm just making it look like I'm working.
I was gonna get into this a little bit anyways, if you wanna move on to Waterworth
Okay.
and talk about any of that. I
Can I
was
ask
gonna-
one more question? Sorry. With the FY 28,
Mhm.
this is 66% increase.
Uh-huh.
There's no way on this planet I would ever support a 66%.
That's without the
increase.
fire station.
And I know that's projected, but are those, we show these numbers to the public when we talk about the truth of taxation.
Mhm.
I'm concerned about that because I don't want folks to get the idea that it's gonna automatically jump up that much next year. And because it says projections without the fire station.
Mhm.
And so is there a way to kind of, I don't want to alarm people for, unnecessary tentative items.
And that includes the whole.
I mean, my point in showing that was to show that if we push stuff off this year, it's gonna come up eventually. Yes, we're gonna have the same conversation next year. There will probably be things that we're deferring again. So that number is grossly assumed
Well,
that
maybe-
everything's approved and everything moves forward and all projects are absolutely 100% necessary. Yes, to your point.
Maybe it's more of a question of the council if they want to keep those numbers on. Like as we present.
Yeah, and maybe
truth in
that's
taxation
more,
to the
maybe
public.
we start
To me, it
moving the
makes me nervous.
projections to committee meetings, right? And I get what you're saying, but as new finance director, I just wanted to prove all my cards on the table. I am not holding anything close to the chest. I want to work with you. I want to be strategic. I want to show you like us as department heads care about the citizens just as much as you do. We got to rebuild this trust and this narrative that we're working against each other. No, council and department heads got to work together. And I think we've been very strategic and conscious of that this year. And I love that. And I think committees are just going to make it even better. And if you want to come in one-on-one or whatever, two of you with me, and we go through line by line, happy to do that. That was the point of those projection charts. It wasn't to cause fear and panic and threats or whatever. It was just to show robbing Peter to pay Paul, pushing it off still has a cost.
I like them.
Thank you.
I do like them because, even though it does cause everyone to think, you are showing them that we are putting this off. We can't continue to we put it off. If we put it off to 2029, that was just gonna be even higher. Just like you said, at some point in time, we gotta stop it or fix it, right?
Yeah, or say we're just gonna shave cement.
Yeah, or never do that project, but then deal with the consequence of the tripping hazard and
Or
the,
do we just remove that building or that facility or.
Correct.
Yeah, so
Or don't offer snow plowing and it, like,
there's.
That would never
consequences to
happen,
the
but I'm just
decisions we're
saying.
having, Yes.
There is a consequence, I
Yes,
know that.
yes.
But you know what, also when they do see that, they look at it and go, well, what can we do? Well, there are some things we can do. We
Right.
can go out and fundraise. We can do some other things to get, just like we already did to bring it down to the 14% now.
Yeah.
If someone wants to donate, that would be fantastic. You know?
I saw your writing.
Budget based on
Yeah.
donation.
Elon Musk just to get just a tiny little bit.
Yeah, I just heard he's gonna be a
His interest,
trillionaire.
you know?
So, you know, he's gonna be a trillionaire.
He's building a
insane.
house here in Kaysville. I'm just kidding.
I was like, what?
A trillionaire. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Do we-
Brian.
Yeah, I guess knowing
Do we
where
have
we are
time?
time-wise, do we, 15 minutes till 6 o'clock's almost, do we wanna just call it, or is there any big stuff we wanna still touch on, big questions that haven't been asked?
We can answer that water, electric one in an email. We can have another work session. We can.
I just wanna, I'm trying to see,
If it's worth it.
what I wanna see is how much revenue did it generate? And can we keep, by generating that amount of revenue, can we hold not increasing it again this year? Because if we're gonna do taxes, I really don't wanna do rates also. That's always been the deal, it's one or the other. And that's why I wanted to say, if we generated enough revenue to somewhat break even and maybe get a little bit gain, then let's not raise taxes and fees.
The fees were about $5 in total a month for 660.
Yeah, do you wanna go back to that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
we
mean,
go back to
there's
that,
your
and we
fees.
can say that it's $5 or whatever,
It's like
I'm not saying it's good or
$5.43.
bad, but I'm just saying.
but it all adds up.
Yes, yes.
And
It's
if
just
you
not
look at it,
good,
it's still $285 a year to somebody that's a where's that, $690,000 house or
I
whatever.
mean, to me, it goes back to the idea of incrementally doing these things each year rather than, you know, doing them in bigger amounts every few years. And if our modeling is telling us, hey, this is where you should probably be upping your rates, it's a lot less
I'm
painful to
not
do it a
liking,
little
I'll
bit
be
at a
honest with
time.
you, I'm not liking the modeling, I want actual numbers. I wanna know how much money we generated by that increase from the year before, and did we keep up with our expenditures?
We can do
That's
that.
what I wanna know.
We can do that, but obviously, we're trying to project out future needs. You know, again, going back to the situation of where we are with our water, we've got a massive amount of infrastructure, and we want to make sure that we're, you know, having a sustainable fee schedule to pay for those needs as they come.
Can I add some thoughts, Jason?
Sure.
Okay, so we have budgeted for fiscal year 26, $2.2 million in fund balance usage to fund our infrastructure. So this year we are using and projected to use a substantial amount of fund balance. If we were to end our operations today, we would have used 1.7 million in fund balance with the amount of revenue we brought in and expenses. So we're right on track to use up what we budgeted for as far as expenses. The actual dollar revenue amount that we're increasing, or that we would have got from the increase, is 545,000 is the exact dollar amount projected that everyone's usage is the same. And the difference from our last year's actuals to this year's budgeted is that 545,000.
Okay, but let's say, let's go to year two. Let's say we bring in another 500,000.
Sure.
Okay, so now we have 1 million. Let's go to year three. We have
Sure.
1.5 million. We use the 1.7 million fund balance the first year. Would we be okay? I mean, would we now be able to have that because we've increased it to the 1.5 million because we've got the revenue for 3 years? Is that 1.7 that we used in fund balance for some one-time operations and things like that? Are we starting to even out and build up? That's my question.
Yes, I think we can be on track to similar to how
He's
power.
saying not raising it.
Well, I'm saying eventually you might get to a point where maybe you don't have to, but we're not in that spot currently.
Okay,
There's gonna be a series of
Kind of what I'm saying,
increases. to get it to more.
We had some big
sustainable.
projects, we needed the $1.7 million for, now we're gonna increase our fee, we're getting an extra 500,000 or whatever.
Right.
So after 3 or 4 years, and we don't have this great expenditure anymore,
That's right.
then we're gonna start, then maybe this dropped down and they caught up, and now we can see where we're at, see.
If we didn't have any other projects, but
If we
will
don't know,
have
and I don't know
projects,
if we will, but I don't know what they are, we have so much every year
Everything.
already budgeted for projects, there's just some years,
Yeah.
some projects are too much.
Well,
I think it's in the same boat as general fund, right?
Okay,
We're,
all right.
we've been using fund balance for
Yeah.
so many years.
Yeah.
We
And
kind of
this-
have to get out of that habit.
sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
It's okay.
And this year, we're budgeting 470,000 in fund balance. But if we don't do an increase, the model shows, and you cannot like the model or not, but we're gonna end up being negative. We won't have any fund balance if we don't do some sort of increase. So we're really trying to play catch up. And to your point, I think we have been talking, we do have conversations with department heads, and particularly Josh and Brian, to what can we do to move projects back? And we have done that. I think in 2028, and the model shows this, I don't think we have anything planned. Or it's just finishing up existing projects. And then 2029 is very minimal. And then 2030, we have like the Green Road tank and some other big projects. And the model shows that huge spike. And so from 2020 through 2027, 2028, and 2029, we're gonna be making more than we're probably spending, potentially. And we're building up our fund balance so that we can meet the demands of those, fiscal year 2030
That's
on.
exactly why I think that model is so valuable to us. Had we had that model a few years ago, just anecdotally, the big water project we just started over Bishop's Lane or what, on the west side, I mean, that's had how many breaks over the last 2 years? People are so sick of like Public Works out there digging up the road again. It's like 7 breaks in the last 18 months or whatnot. But had we been doing this model, 5 years ago, we would have said, hey, guess what? We've got to fix that. Let's start charging a little bit more fee now so that we have the ability to fix that now. But instead, what we did is we had to wait probably 2 or 3 more years to build up enough fund balance that we could tackle that project. And what we're trying to do now is just like, let's look ahead, 5 years down the road, 10, beyond, and make sure that we're, like Parker just said, building up the fund balance to take care of those when they get here, rather than saying, oh, we kind of need it now, but we're not quite,
And I understand
able
what
to
you're
do
saying, Jason, I just wanna know what the 15% did, because if you're proposing another 15 this year, so that's gonna be 30% in 2 years. That's a lot that's what I'm saying, let's see where we go, let's see where we got with the 15 before we raise it to the 30.
Well, and I'll add that the model is a lot better than us just throwing like a dart at the wall and just saying, this is what we're gonna do. It also allows us to do a rate study every year. We don't have to hire it out necessarily to have a rate study. We can do a rate study every year using the model. And that's exactly what we've done this year. We're not just doing a blanket 15, 20% rate increase. We're doing a 20% revenue increase, and we're being very strategic with our rates. And the model allows us to do that because it's taking our actuals, our historical actual usage and consumption, or I'm sorry, those are the same thing, consumption and actuals of what we build, and allows us to project it out. So like the $1.63, I get it that it's hypothetical, but our average residential usage is 4,700 gallons. So I feel very confident that that's exactly how their bill is gonna turn out. I'm 99% sure that that's how their bill is gonna turn out if they have the same usage. And we've looked at it and we're shifting more onto higher using customers. If we go back and we were to look at what our proposed rates are, and also shifting more onto commercial. There's a graph in Waterworth that I could show you if you wanted to see it, that shows that residents have actually been kind of subsidizing commercial as far as consumption goes. Commercial's consumption will be up here, but we're only billing them this much. And then it's the opposite for residents. Residents are here and their consumption's here. Now, their consumption is much higher than commercial just because of the sheer number of residents. But I think that's what we did this year with this proposed rate structure, is closing the gap between that. Now, I don't know if maybe at some point there was some sort of reasoning behind subsidizing or keeping commercial rates low. But I think what we're doing here is we're trying to be sensitive to what we're trying to do with general fund especially, and while still achieving what we need to do to just keep infrastructure going.
Well, and I would just add, I so appreciate the conversation.
Yeah.
But next year, if we are looking at playing catch up a lot more, that's gonna be a huge hit. I would rather do it this year.
That's a good point.
You know, increase the rates and increase the taxes. It's not as much as we'd
I like
originally
that.
planned,
That's
but
a
are you
good
okay with
point.
that? Okay.
Smaller increments.
Yeah.
If you see
So,
something big.
I think if we defer this.
And that's kind of what I was saying earlier with Gary. He would let us know a couple years in ahead.
Yes.
And so we would prepare for that. Now, and that's what, so yeah, I agree with what you're saying. If it comes in small increments rather than big hits, that's by far.
As a property owner, I prefer that too.
Yes.
So, okay, thank you.
And sorry for the broken record, but I mean, again, that's what the model's for, is to sort of incrementally look at that future and smooth it out. On a lighter note, we can never have chips again, because apparently these, like, every little crink like picks it up in the mic really loud.
Really? Oh.
So I just noticed a few texts like, oh my gosh, no one can hear because of the chips. So anyway.
Does it sound like I'm eating right into the microphone?
Like it's-
Lauren,
yeah.
who's complaining?
That-
That might have been some.
Okay.
Anyway.
Get those sun chips.
Yeah.
Those are
Best
the
to
worst.
open them first
yes.
and pour out before
Little
making.
rows of
Really
chips.
bowls, yeah.
And everyone choose one at a
Are we
time.
doing a line of chips?
How?
Do we want to talk about another work session, next steps?
Thank you,
What are we
Ryan.
feeling?
Thank you, Ryan.
You're
awesome. You
how-
picked that up?
What's that?
Thank you.
I'd like
I didn't
to,
pick it up, somebody.
I would love to have
you.
the public hearings
You should-
first to see how bad we get beat up and have a work session right after.
Okay.
Really?
So, yeah, I kind of need to talk about it.
You wanna go
Okay,
before
okay.
that? You wanna go before that? Or do you wanna go before that, or you wanna wait?
You said public hearing.
Oh,
might
wait,
be-
no.
I mean, if
I
we have
think
anything
the
really
public
pressing, we can always
hearings-
just talk to Marin on our own before the public
Yeah,
hearing.
I'm very happy, anytime.
Yeah.
Just let me know and we can sit down and go through as little or as much as you want.
You guys have
Very
been
happy to do that.
fantastic. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm sorry for the
Thanks.
long
Very
hours
good.
and.
Appreciate it.
It's part of the job. We want to do our job well, and
Who you are.
most
and
of
we
that is
appreciate that.
supporting you, so
And
gotta get you the information.
I'll just add, if Marin wants to set me loose on this, I'd be happy to come up with like a type up for like every department and exactly like what the expense is, what that project is for, so that you have it like in a one pager. I don't know if that's helpful or not.
It's really helpful to be able to speak to it.
I mean,
So
we
drop
tried to do
off
that
the-
with their PowerPoints, but yeah, you
Sure.
combine them into one
Sure.
place, yeah.
Well, and I mean, just like add like narrative to it
Yeah.
too, so it's like.
The context is really helpful, yeah. Thank you.
These guys have been working their tails off,
I
because
know.
everyone
I can
knows, but
Well,
yeah, they just, we love them. Thanks, you guys.
yeah.
It's really great.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
is that in our work session? Okay.
That's what you
We have to have
want.
So maybe on June 4th, then we'll talk, or June 5th, we can email about
Okay,
next steps, right?
yes.
Okay,
Let's go.
that's what I'm
Let's see
hearing.
what happens at the public hearing. I wanna see how many people, cause if you get a lot of people, then you gotta think about what's going on. If you get very few, then you have to say, maybe what we're doing is okay.
Or maybe we're explaining it well so that people
Do you
understand
know-
what we're trying to accomplish.
Do we present that tentative budget, or can I update it now with a modified tentative
That's a good question.
to present that for the
interim?
hearing?
For the public hearing, it's for the tentative budget. but
That
you
we've
can-
already presented.
You can update it from
Oh,
what I
you can update it,
understand,
yes.
to where we're at now.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll just make a modified tentative.
Yes, of the modified,
yeah, yeah.
Before,
Right.
Because we just have to post it 10 days. So I need to finish it by Tuesday or Wednesday with these updates.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Modified tentative.
thank you so much.
Great, okay, just make sure we on time.
Okay, I'm gonna end it.
All right.
Okay, bye, love you.
Farewell.